It's very good to be here with you. One thing I first want to share is that you might have detected that I'm British. I want to say that I'm your biggest advocate because there's something I want to share with you. You are the most generous people in the world. And your values are godly values that can change nations. And I want you to never throw that baby out because that's a really important thing to start with. You are the most generous people in the world. My job took me from the UK government. I was funded by the UK government to be an advisor to the Chinese government. And what we were doing is to look at alternatives to institutions. So that was the early days. And I think my discovery of institutions were they were bleak, dark places that often were, children were hopelessness and staff even more with no hope. And I think that was really where I felt we could make a big impact. That we have to empower the people, the local people, to make a difference to the children. And just to really look at a gentleman called Erving Goffman, and he talks about institutions being a barrier to social inclusion with the community. Most institutions are closed up by walls, and people will tell you the children can't come out and other people from the community can't come in. So that's a very dark place, and we know, God, we were all orphans, as the previous speaker told us, and we've been brought into the family of God. But in that situation, it gives Satan a huge opportunity. Lack of integrity, lack of transparency. And so how do you deal with that? How do you make a difference into that? One little girl said to me once, she was 5, a little Chinese girl, we placed her into family. This is how she, in her mind, she talked about the difference between being in an institution and in a family. She said, when I was in the orphanage, I was a little caterpillar. And now I'm the butterfly I was meant to be. I thought, wow, that's so powerful. What a powerful little message from a little girl. I love to tell stories, and I have lots of stories about China. So institutions, we know, create dysfunctional, dependent people. And institutions also are closed off from society. And so what we started to do and started to look at is how we could work with that. We looked at seed money to encourage those institutions to place Chinese children into Chinese families in China. We also recognise that we need to train people on the ground. So we're training, in my mind, the best people to support families, and I call them nose and bum wipers, are residential workers. They live, breathe and eat children. I've been a residential worker. We used to have the field social workers come in, the legal social workers. They hadn't got a clue about children, as far as we were concerned at that time. They hadn't really experienced that wealth of understanding children. So we feel they're really good people, and often those people are ready to be retrained. And what we do is we'll match them with 20 children in the community, and we'll start supporting them in the community. And I think that's been an incredible fast learning track. We've seen a small pilot project in Shanghai that placed 500 children ramp up today to 300,000 Chinese children living in Chinese families in China. I think one of the things I always want to share as well about institutions is if we don't start educating people about this, there's a result for us. The next generation needs to start looking about institutions right across society. 80% of us will end up in an institution. That's the statistics. So one would hope that we educate the next generation where maybe some transformation in that area as well. One of the stories I like to tell, and I think is a very powerful story. As I say, I'm very much a stories man. I went down to a place in Guizhou where we placed some children into a village, and they just built a new orphanage, and I was starting to even challenge myself, thinking, wow, this is a great orphanage, it's all new, they've got new staff, all the kids have got lovely clothes on, got good food, good education. And then we went into the village, and that's where I met Joe. You can Joe in Chinese, or you can call it Joe in the English language. But Joe was about this big, and he had a bamboo stick, and he wanted to fight me. he was really angry, and every time I made a move, he was swinging the bamboo stick. You know, Joe had a scruffy pair of shorts and a pair of shoes that didn't fit him. But he had a story, and he wanted to tell me his story. And this is what someone translated to me. He said, "You see that tree over there? I climbed that yesterday. I went right to the top of that tree. And over there, across that field, that's my school. And you know what? This is my dog. He belongs to me. No one else. He's my dog. And he knows me. And when I go to school, he waits outside. And when I finish school, he comes back with me into the village. And Auntie over there at the vegetable store, she knows my name and she gives me an apple every day. And over there, see that auntie over there? She gives me biscuits every day. I've got brothers and sisters and cousins. And I'm not going back to the orphanage." See, he thought they brought the big man to bring him back to the orphanage. He had identity. He had everything he needed, who he was. His security and his identity was total in that place. And that's a powerful story. And listening to Stephen and those who've heard him, I think that's those stories we need to hear over and over again. I think through our relationships of working with the government, and that was quite an unusual thing for me because I was quite excited. I thought I was going to get involved with the house church movement, but suddenly I was in up there, 1996, working with the government. However, today I can say that I'm in a position with trust and relationship with the government. I went with them when they applied for the Olympic Games, so I know quite a few people in the central government in China. And I got to a place now where I can start to negotiate between the house church movement and the government. Because do you know what? This work should be in the hands of the church. We know that. And the government are now considering, they've piloted down in Guizhou province where the house churches are now running the family placement in that area. And just to quickly say, the Christian marriage course now has been approved in China, right the way throughout China. It's got central government endorsement, it's got Christian text, scripture, prayer. The government endorsed it, because they have nothing like it. And lastly, through a bit of negotiation of relationships, what we've done in China, we've now been invited into Mongolia, North Korea, down into Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand and Myanmar. So we need more people. So if there are any good leaders out there, we're looking for good leaders to come and help us pick up this vision. Thanks very much.